What's good, family? It's your boy Old Soul J, and I'm back with another video. Let's get into it. Today I want to talk about the top 3 things I learned from being around a self-made millionaire. Now, to give y'all a little context, to give y'all a little bit of perspective without getting too deep into it, I used to work for a marketing company. Now, the marketing company, I live in New York for the people who may not know. And the marketing company I work for, in the business that we were working, the rankings would fluctuate, but for most of the time I was there, our office was the top office in the entire business. I basically was working a sales job for a marketing firm that was very successful. And the guy who owned our office was very hands-on, which was a big reason why our office was so successful. So I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to be around this person, to have sit downs with this person, conversations with this person. And of course, as you could tell by the title of this video, he was a millionaire, or he is a millionaire, right? Self-made millionaire. Sometimes I would really just think to myself, like, let's say I'm in one office room and he's in one across the hallway, and I'll really just think to myself, like, there's really a self-made millionaire across the hall right there who I actually have a network with, a form of a relationship. Not only do I work for this man, he knows who I am, the advice, the conversations, if he had the time, if he could make the time, he'll make the time for you. The better we were as his employees, the better he was. I felt like, to me, that was more valuable than any amount of money that I made while I was working for that job. The fact that I was able to pick his brain, you know, any questions I would ask him, he would give me an answer. You know, I've had not as many as I probably should have. To be honest with you, I should have pushed more for that. But you know, there's always that thing when you want to respect the person's time. That comes with it. For anybody who's had the experience of being around somebody who's like ultra successful in something, you know, sometimes you don't want to push boundaries too much or, you know, overstep. But he was always open, so, you know, I probably should have took more advantage of that. But even just being around him and the conversations that we've had, there are 3 major things that I want to talk about today that he was very, very adamant about, that he lived and breathed like his life depended on it. Like, this was his mentality that he drove into everyone's heads, or at least he tried to, because you could tell this was how he moved. This was his mindset, and obviously it worked well for him. The first thing that I want to talk about that I learned from being around a self-made millionaire, or working with a self-made millionaire: focus on what you can control and don't focus on what you can't control. Now, this was something that was constantly reiterated. This was constantly spoken. This was constantly drilled into our minds. This was constantly a focus in that office. You know, this was something that, of course, it starts at the top, part of the culture. Can and can't controls. Focusing on what you cannot control does nothing for you. There's no benefit from it. When things don't work out in a person's favor, they always want to blame external things outside of themselves. Oh, this happened because the weather was this, and this person did this, and I was here. Like, just a whole bunch of things that they had no control over. See, this is the thing. Something I already believed, actually, before I even met the man. But he emphasized it so deeply, because you could understand something and still not apply it to your life, right? So, you know, it's human nature sometimes to get complacent. It's human nature sometimes to blame external things and not be accountable. Even if those uncontrollables played a role in the likelihood or the chance of your success, talking about it, complaining about it, whining about it, putting focus on it does nothing for you, because where attention goes, energy flows. But you're putting in energy to flow into something you can't control. So focusing on what you can control maximizes your chances, because that's all you have control over. That's all you can affect, right? So anything that you have direct influence over, that is where your mind needs to be focused on. There's no point in putting any type of attention, aka and or energy, into something that you cannot control. This is something that he lived by, and this is something that I constantly preach to myself as I go through daily obstacles every single day. Focus on what you can control and what you can't control. Catch yourself if you ever see yourself speaking about things that are out of your control, complaining about it, having conversations about it. You're bringing attention to it, so now that thing is just going to become bigger in your perspective. There's no beneficial way from coming out of that. Have you ever heard of the term confirmation bias? Now, the definition of confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, and analyze information in a way that confirms your beliefs or assumptions, while ignoring and downplaying information or proof or evidence that contradicts that. To break down what that means is that whenever you tell yourself this is stopping you or hindering you from accomplishing something or completing something or just executing, especially when it's something you can't control, your brain is automatically going to focus or look for more reasons to prove that true to you, which is only going to create a snowball effect, and it's just going to create a larger obstacle from that obstacle that you've put attention to, because we're, like I said earlier in the video, where attention goes, energy flows. So this is why that's the first thing that I take from working with a millionaire that he emphasized so deeply. Focus on what you can control and not what you can't control. Because when you focus on what you can't control, you're going to fall into a state of confirmation bias, and you're going to be focusing on the negative. You're going to be focusing on something that is hindering you, which is only going to make it a bigger hindrance. Now, the second thing that I learned from working with a self-made millionaire: show up every day. This was another thing that he always emphasized in the meetings that we had all the time. I can't count how many times he expressed this. A lot of times he would say it in passing, but one of the reasons why he says that showing up every day is important, because over time that accumulates. Now, think about it like this. Let's say somebody is doing the exact same thing that you're trying to do. Let's say y'all are both trying to be successful in the same exact thing. Let's say if person A shows up 7 days out the week doing that thing that y'all are both trying to get better at, that you're both trying to profit from or benefit from, and person B shows up 4 or 5 days out the week. Now, in a short period of time, it doesn't make a large difference, right? Those few days don't make a huge difference. But now let's say, how many more days will person A have than person B over a year span or over a 2-year span? I'm not a freaking mathematician, so I'm not about to do the, you know what? I got a phone right here. Let me calculate it real quick. Right? So if there's 365 days in a year, right? Well, that's easy math right there. The first year, 365 days, person A put in 365 days into that craft, right? Now, person B, let's say that person B is only doing 5 days a week, right? So now, how many weeks are in a year? Let's see. There are 52 weeks in a year. 52 times 5 equals 260. So now, just off of that alone, person A put in 105 more days than person B into the specific craft. Now, not one of you had a higher advantage than the other. Even if person B had more advantages than person A, who do you think will be further ahead? 105 more days worth of iterations, experience, effort, work, knowledge, whatever the case is, the knowledge that they gain from the experience. Person A most definitely will be up more ahead. It's not even just about the fact that person A put in more days, more time, more hours, more energy, more focus. It's also because doing that, being consistent, constantly putting yourself in those predicaments, constantly showing your subconscious mind those situations, it creates momentum. So person A might even scale, not just double, maybe even triple the amount that person B does. Because the days that person B is not showing up, person B's attention is on other things that could push him back a couple steps on what he's trying to accomplish, or in terms of creating that momentum, which is something that everyone needs, or something that is a large boost and help when it comes to anything. So that is why he emphasized so much showing up every day, because we think that we're doing something because we execute it here and there, or sometimes, or when we're in the mood for it, because we're good at it, we're talented at it, or you do really good when you do it, but you're not doing it enough. If you're not living and breathing in it, you're not completely immersing yourself in that field. Now, of course, you can get better. You can still get better without completely immersing yourself in something, but it's all about how bad do you want it, and how fast and how quickly are you willing to learn? How quickly are you willing to progress? How much time do you want to waste? That's what it comes down to, because sometimes you can't afford to miss any opportunities that may appear, because if you show up every day, no opportunity will miss you because you showed up. There are many things really that I learned from working with a self-made millionaire, but the third and final thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is believe that you've already done it and then do it with 100% effort. What do I mean by that? So what I mean by that is when you have a task that you've already set in your mind that you need to complete or that you're going to attempt to complete. This is why you hear so many super successful people talk about being delusional. It is not, I don't care what they tell you, it's not always beneficial to be what they say realistic. Because being realistic just means that you're going to subscribe to the popular or the most likely outcome and ignore the chance of the other outcome that you really want. Because if you completely disregard the chance of the outcome that you really want, then there's no way that it's going to happen. So how do we maximize our chances on the small chance or the small percentage choice, or just numbers wise, whatever the case is? Or how do we just maximize our chances on getting what we want out of the task, completing the task, being successful in that task? Like I said earlier in the video, where attention goes, energy flows. So what we have to do is decide in our minds. This gives you the best chance. You already know deep down, like, you're not retarded. Everyone knows, like, you already understand that nothing is guaranteed. We all understand that there's a chance, of course, obviously, that you might not be successful. But this is why they say you gotta be delusional, because you have to really convince yourself, like, okay, that could happen, but this is what's going to happen. I will be successful, because it gives you the best opportunity to do that. It's because the mental state that you're in while you are in the action of performing the task, if you truly believe that you're going to be successful, you're going to have the best actions. And not only that, you're going to be able to attract the positive outcome more so, because people don't really understand how powerful their mind is, how powerful our minds are. And this goes back to the number one thing too, is focusing on what you can control. You can control your belief, how confident you are. So that's the first step. And then it's seeing it before it happens, telling yourself that it's already done, knowing that you're gonna do it. You don't think whether, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get out of bed today. No, you don't think about, you don't think that there's a possibility that you won't. But there is a possibility that you won't. But because you do it so often, because you learned how to do it from a little kid, because you know how to do it, because you're confident that you can do that, you're not gonna think, I'm gonna wake up and figure out how to walk today. You have to think about you completing that task as if it is you getting out of bed, as if it's you putting on your shoes, tying your shoes, the same as you putting on your pants. If you know you can do it, then choose that you will. You're putting too much attention and focus or mental on the possibility of failure or just not completing the task, when you should be putting all your attention and energy into the idea that you do complete it, and convince yourself that you already did, that you are, that it's happening already. And then also, what makes you think you'll be able to do it if you didn't give your full 100% effort? Now you're just selling yourself short. You have to be honest with yourself and not cheat the grind, not cut any corners. Execute. Execution is putting your 100%. Are you really truly putting your 100%? Or are you half-assing it? These are the things that I picked up from a self-made millionaire. These are just a couple of the things, but these were the first three things that came to my mind that I know that are super important, because without these three things, the other things don't even matter. These three things give you the highest chance to execute on the highest possible scale. And I know if that man seen this video, the man that I'm talking about in the video, if he's seen this video, he would 100% approve of it. So remember that, family. Number one, focus on what you can control. Number two, show up every day. And number three, believe that you've already done it before you go do it. And when you go do it, give 100% effort in that said thing. But that's all I gotta say for today, y'all. Make sure you like, subscribe. I'm out.